Okay, so now I'm trying to investigate where is the error occurring. So if you go to the dashboard and you double click on the channel, then it comes up with all the messages. Now on the status, what you can do is basically you can look up all the messages which has the error. So you click on them and then they come up, and then you go to the errors where it actually describes the method of the error. To be more specific, if you go to the mappings, then what it does is like it gives all the steps in a particular table so that you can find out where is the failure. So this is where the failure is occurring, and when I double click on it, I have to read through this error, and then it will give me probably an idea of what the error is. So if you look carefully over here, it says like failure, error writing to the database. So probably the Mirth was not able to establish a communication, and that's why it was failing to write to the database. It says SQL nested exception cannot create pullable connection factory. So it's basically there's some problem with the connection. This is what I can figure out from this. So now since I have this information available, what I'm going to do is like I'll check the database just to make sure whether anything is written or not. So let's see whole thing. So let's see what it says. Like, so all the rows for this table, there is nothing written over here. Now ideally, if you look at the channel, there are two destinations in this channel. So a patient info and OBX, which are enabled. So if the patient info is enabled, this thing is supposed to write to the patient info table in the SQL server. So it should write something over here, which has not been done. Now the other segment is OBX segment. So let's see whether that segment was successful or not. So if you go to this table with the OBX segment and you right click on it and you look up all the rows, you can find here that these rows are written. So concluding this, it seems like that there is a good connection with this destination, which is the OBX segment, because it was working and it wrote actually something, while this segment it didn't write something. So there is something wrong. From the error, what clue that we have is like there was a failure to establish the connection. So let's look up where are we making error. So the database writer, this is the connection type, which is true, and SQL server, that's the connector string. So JDBC colon JTDS SQL server colon // So this IP address is probably wrong. So I think it's probably your machine's IP address, but I have the SQL server as well as the HL7 server on the same machine. So it should be either localhost or 127.0.0.1. That should be the address. Or what we can do is like we can go to the command and we can look up what is the address for this machine. So IP config. So let me see what is the IP for this. Okay, so my IP address is 192.168.0.105, or I can do the self, so that in that way I don't have to change it if just in case the IP changes. So 127. So I'm going to change this to 127.0.0.1. So this should probably establish the connection, and then it should be able to go through. And let me check what is the condition over here. So if I go to the connector, here it is 127. So this was basically the error. So now let's do it again, and let's see how it helps. So I'm saving the channel, I'm deploying it again, and I'm going to the dashboard. I'm cleaning up everything. So remove all the messages and all the statistics. So now everything is clean, everything is 0. So now I'm going to go back to the C drive and temporary directory where unread messages we need to copy. So I'm going to copy this HL7 message again. I'll paste the message over here. Okay, so this should probably take care of both the things. So it should once again write into the database in terms of patients database as well as the OBX segment. So right now there are 88 records, and once this message is processed, there will be more 44 records which should be written. So let's see what happens. So okay, so the message has been picked up over here. The next thing is to check the Mirth. Okay, so it went through, but then it has also error. So let's see what is the error again. Okay, so we go to the error. Okay, so this is where it's the error. So error writing to the database, invalid column name SSN. Query, insert into table patient ID, SSN, last name, first name. So there is probably no SSN column name that is in the database. So let's look up what happened over here. Okay, so let me see all the rows first. Okay, so it seems like I have removed probably the SSN from the table. Okay, so and the structure is patient ID, SSN, last name, first name. So patient ID, account, last name, first name. So instead of account, it should be SSN. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to design view of the table, and instead of account, we'll change it to SSN. Sorry, SSN. Okay, so, and I'm going to save this. Okay, so this should take care of the error that is happening again. So okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert once again, and if you check at this point, this table should have written everything. So let me close everything. Okay, and I'm closing this one also. Let me check this again. So if you check, there should be more 44 records written. Okay, so this is working okay still. This is if you check, there is nothing here, so this is not working okay, and now we have the SSN in the field. Okay, so I'm going to close this. Okay, I'm gonna try once again, so I'll paste the message again over here, and we'll see what happens now. Okay, so the message has been picked up. Let's go to the dashboard. So now there is the count of the messages. If you see here, message was received 2 times, it was sent 3 times, and it was error only once. So the error has not increased, so which means probably the message has been processed properly. But make sure that everything is properly written into the database. So I'm going to go back to the database, and I'll look up this again. Okay, so now here it appears. So the patient ID, SSN, last name, and first name, everything is written over here. And previously, if you remember, it was 132 records, so it should be more 44 records over here. Okay, so it has recorded all the records here. Now, like this is just the testing purposes. So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to design the table again, and I can just what I can do is like script the table as delete and recreate. So new query editor window, and then I can just run this query, and it will wipe off everything out of this database. Errors. Sometimes if you have like thousands of messages over here, then what you can basically do is change the status to the error status, and then search through the messages, and you can pick the dates, and you can pick the start time and end time, and then search through the messages and look for only error messages in this way. So this is how you can find all the error messages, and once you have the error message, then you can go to the mappings, and you can double click on this, and you can look this, and you can go to the errors, and it will also show. So this is how basically to look for the errors and opt for it. Thank you.